afternoon, everybody. My name is Elise Hatton. I'm Rockhampton Regional Council Smart Hub Business Manager, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn. As you know, Rockhampton Regional Council is very committed to supporting our business owners, our small business owners, startups, and all other businesses in this region, people just like you. And so we're very excited about hosting these Lunch and Learns. The one thing that you have to do today is take away at least one action that you can implement in your business straight away that will make a difference. That is our goal for today. We have a fantastic topic. Sorry, I can't even think of the word. Fantastic topic. It aligns with our own journey here at the Smart Hub. We've been working on our website for a while now, and we're very excited about launching it soon. And so we thought, while we're in the thick of working through websites, there is no better topic than websites. And we have the best person to present today, which is Mr. Jason Foss. Jason, how long have you been making websites?
24 years.
So somewhat experienced in this area. I think we have a lot to learn from Jason. Thank you so much. We're going to learn web design rookie mistakes and what to do and what not to do in an amazing website. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Elise. I'm a little bit taken off guard now. I didn't know I had to give people takeaways. Oh, well, we'll see how we go.
Sorry.
Forwards. Backwards. Loosen it. Tighten it. I know how to use this drill, but I would not recommend entering a house that I built. It'd be quite crooked, nothing would line up, first decent breeze, overshoot blow. And it's a bit like that with web design. There are lots of good tools out there to help you build your own. Really good tools. But if you don't know what you're doing, there's a lot of mistakes that beginners can make. So what I thought we'd do today is run through some of those so that you don't make the mistakes that I was making 20 odd years ago. Now, there's quite a list. How about I turn this on? There we go. So there's a bit of a list, but I'm breaking this down into three main areas. So there are some technical things you need to worry about. Oh, somebody's late. Am I supposed to heckle you now? Isn't that the deal? So there's some technical things we're going to need to worry about, so I'll get those out of the way early because otherwise we'll all be falling asleep. There's the role a website plays in your business. And then a lovely little acronym at the end here, UX, which is a geeky way of saying user experience. And we'll talk about that last. So first of all, who's ever looked at a website on one of these newfangled things? Everybody does all the time. I don't have to tell you what a phone is. You can do stuff on it. One of them's looking at websites. Everybody does. And yet, this so often is the afterthought. And you can kind of understand why. I mean, when you're building the website, you're sitting at your laptop. And when you're editing your website, you're sitting at your laptop or your desktop, whatever you're using. And how often do you then think to pull out your phone and check what you've done? Doesn't happen a lot of the time. And yet, a lot of people are visiting, this is what they see. So these are some real life stats. I jumped into a client's Google Analytics account and pinched these. So for them, 84% nearly of their visits are on a phone. I mean, just think about that for a minute. That is a really skewed number. This is not the same for everybody, but this is true for a lot of websites around here. Now, we're the opposite of that. We're basically a business-to-business organisation, so most of ours are still on desktop, but if you've got anything that's consumer-facing, anything where people are looking at it not in a work environment, don't be surprised to see those sorts of numbers. I was trying to think of some other examples that would be the opposite of this earlier, and even an accountant probably has a pretty decent mobile skew, especially come tax time. There's lots of average non-business people out there looking to get tax returns done, whatever the case may be. So that's a really important number to keep in mind. Now, before I pulled that one, I thought I'll just Google worldwide what the average desktop mobile split is. And I saw a couple of stats telling me it was about 50-50, about half. And that's That's the danger with looking at big averages like that, is they don't take into account local industries and, you know, local behaviours, and, you know, our environment here is a bit different to environments in other parts of the world. So there's some numbers from somebody in town. So, design for your phone first. You have to be thinking mobile first. Building it on your laptop or your desktop is fine, but you've got to be thinking about what does this look like on a phone, and how does it behave on a phone before you arrive at the desktop experience. So that's easy to say. Practically, how can you do that? So this is my desk. I probably should have tidied it up a little bit before I took this photo, but anyway, so you can see here I've got, this is the WordPress theme customizer I've got open up here. So this is where I'm actually building the thing. But I keep a phone beside me there as I'm going. So make a change, save it, refresh the phone, scroll up and down, yep, okay, that's all right, or it's not all right. Make some more changes here, save it, refresh the phone, check it again, have it there in front of you all the time. Once this is good, you know, I thought, now somebody else has walked in late, I can heckle him instead. Once you've got this right, you can then worry about what this is like. Now, if having an arrangement like that is not overly convenient, or whatever the case may be, there is a bit of a cheat that you can use. Now, if you right-click on your screen in Google Chrome, you'll end up with this menu, and the last one says Inspect. And what that'll do is load up a screen like this, and there's a whole lot of nonsense over here at the side that you don't need to worry about. But up here is a little icon where you can switch between filling that screen and entering responsive design mode. And that'll give you a phone simulation in here. You can change, that's set to an iPhone 6 at the moment, but you can change what phone that is from a drop-down. It's not perfect. It won't exactly reproduce your phone experience, but it's pretty close at a pinch. Feel free to use that and just make sure you put your phone out later to double check it. So after we've dealt with the mobile first experience, the next thing we need to worry about is download speed. Now everybody loves waiting for slow websites to download, right? Favourite thing ever. But time and time again, you see websites built with huge images and carousels and slideshows and videos all over the homepage, all slowing down that load time. And they might make your website look really good, much to the annoyance of your visitor. So speed's important for a couple of reasons. It's part of Google's ranking algorithm. So slow websites, you can expect some penalty in your rankings. And the other main reason is, and Amazon have done lots and lots of studies about this, I won't bore you with those, but for every extra fraction of a second it takes the website to download, it costs them money in abandoned carts, people not pursuing, getting to the end of their purchase. Feel free to Google this later on if you like. There's, you know, Amazon is a big concern. They spend a lot of money studying and testing these things, but expect less out of your website if it's taking too long to download. People are impatient, they'll give up. So one way we can test and benchmark how fast our website is heading off to this. Can you guys see that from the back? That's right. So this site's called GT Metrics. I've got a slide at the end anyway with links to all of these things. So what you do is go to gtmetrics.com, paste your website address in there, hit test your site, and you'll end up with a page that looks a little bit like this. So what we're looking at here is a general overall grade from A through to about F, I think is the worst. And then some stuff over to the right here, which I'll get to in a minute, and then a bit of a timeline for how the page loads. So this stuff here is a bit proprietary. I wouldn't get too bogged down with that, except if you see what you can do to squeeze it out to a B. If you're a B, try and get it to an A, see what you can do to get up a little bit. These three over here are kind of important. So as part of Google's algorithm changes to, I guess, it's not so much reward fast sites, but penalise slow sites, they're introducing a nerdy thing called Core Web Vitals, and that consists of three main areas. It hasn't been released yet, but it's on their roadmap. We can expect to see that soon. And this is what these web vitals are measuring over here. So you can't see this from the back, but over here, the site took about 6.5 seconds to fully download. But the largest contentful paint, which is a geeky way of saying how long did it take to load the biggest thing on the page, which is generally your hero image up the top, loaded in less than a second. All of this other stuff that happened afterwards is not so important. Could be images or stuff in your footer, could be Google Analytics tracking code, could be a Facebook pixel, could be stuff that people don't immediately see. But if you've got your biggest thing on the page, your hero image downloaded in less than a second, it feels like it's downloaded fast. And like with many things in life, you've got reality and you've got perception of reality. You know, although that whole site or whole page took 6.5 seconds to download, it felt like it downloaded in less than a second, and that's kind of what you need to worry about. You know, how quickly can you get that largest thing in your page to load? The total blocking time is just some scripts that can get in the way of your site loading altogether. If that's big, what will happen is people will just be presented with a white screen for too long before anything appears. So you definitely don't want that going on. And the cumulative layout shift at the end is mainly for sites that have ads on them. You see it a lot. So you visit a news site, the article starts loading, and then as ads load, the text jumps and moves around a little bit and carries on. Google's not a fan of that either, so you want this number to be small as well. These are all green. If the numbers are bad, they'll move from orange to red. It's not too hard to see what's a good score and what's a bad score. So that's a bit nerdy, but that's an explanation of that screen. If you scroll down, it will give you some stuff to do. There's only some low priority and some medium low priorities here because this is a pretty good example, but if you see medium to high priority things, you need to jump on those or get your web developer to fix them up, whatever the case may be. Now, this is all well and good, and a lot of that's a little bit nerdy, and if you're using Squarespace or Wix or something like that, you can't do much about these anyway. So what can you do? Squish your images. Biggest problem with getting sites to download fast is more often than not, images that get uploaded are way bigger than they need to be. Far, far bigger than they need to be. And that's just time it takes to download all those things, especially when you end up with multiple images per page, as you generally see. So if you think about it in terms of this, so this fella here is a standard HD monitor you might sit on a desktop, see them everywhere. Now, these fellas here are around about 2,000 pixels wide, is what they'll display. And yet, if I tip my phone on the side and take a photo like that, the photo that comes off my phone is at least 4,000 pixels wide. That's an iPhone. If you've got a newer Samsung phone, they're taking much bigger pictures than that as well, much bigger. So anything you pull off your phone is at least twice the size that your website needs it to be to occupy the full width of a screen that big. So the very first thing you want to do is get that photo off your phone and probably halve the width. Get it down about 2,000 pixels wide by however high it is, and that's plenty. That's all you need size-wise. And if you've had a professional photographer take photos for you, pretty good chance they'll give you bigger things than that even still. So use whatever image editor you've got, or whichever one floats your boat. They'll pretty much all be able to resize a picture down. So if you come down about 2,000 pixels wide, you'll save heaps of space, download much faster. So that's the first part of getting the size down. The second part is using an image that then compresses that file size, or compresses the file size down. So the image is the same size, but it's just taking up less space. The file size is smaller. So you can go to somewhere like Tiny PNG here, and again there'll be a link on the slide at the end. Drag your image on there, it'll do its thing, give you a version that can be up to half the size of it. Now if you're using WordPress, they also make a plugin for WordPress as well, so you can install that, and anything you upload to WordPress will automatically get compressed by these guys. But if you think about where we start from, so a photo that comes off your phone might be about 5 megabytes. You kind of half the width of that down about 200 pixels, run it through a service like this, you should end up with a photo that's less than a megabyte quite easily. 700, 800K that kind of thing. So you can see the file size difference between having to throw 5 megabyte images at people to download your page versus that same image being like a fifth of the size by the time you do take those 2 steps. So you want to reduce the size physically using an image editor, bring it down about 2,000 pixels wide, then run it through a compression program like this, or a compression website. If you're uploading those, you'll improve the download speed of your website out of sight. All right, so there's some technical, icky, nerdy things out of the way. I thought I'll get those over and done with first. Is everybody still awake? We survived those ones? Kind of, we've got some ones there, that's right. All right, so what we're going to look at now is the role that your website plays. So this is often ignored as well. So if you were to grab this ball and just run around and kick it and pass it and kick it and pass it here and kick it and pass it here and never aim for that. No, it wasn't me. I thought I might have had the touch then for a minute. What's the point? You'd be really busy and expending a lot of energy and doing a lot of stuff, but for what? You know, you have to kick a goal every now and then. At least got to aim for the goal to start off with. Steve will be able to tell you about that. Is this a field or a court? Yeah, so what are they on here? A field or a court or a...
What do you call it? A field?
I didn't know what to call that.
A court?
Court? We'll run with court. So yeah, make sure you have some goals established. Now, if you're building a website and you haven't yet figured out what those goals are, you're kind of up against it before you even start. So a question that I get asked a lot is my website working? Which is a really good question. But if you haven't set any goals, how do you know? Like, it's there. Is it achieving anything? Who would know? So before you start, set up some goals so you can then measure them and know whether it's working or not. If you bought a car, you'd expect it to work. Your website should be the same. So this is a screenshot again from Google Analytics from some random person I won't identify. But what this is showing is where their traffic came from. So they're running some paid search here, so some Google ads. Organic search is just your normal Google results. Direct traffic, people have typed in www. Their website address. Referrals, other websites that aren't a search engine that are linking to them. And then social down the bottom. And most of those numbers we won't worry about today, but sorry, I'm stepping on the side, you don't want me to. This is the bit that matters. So what we're doing is I can look at this and go, okay, from our paid search, about 12% of the people who come via paid search are doing something that we want them to. Filling in an inquiry form, clicking a phone number, making a purchase, filling out a lead generation form. What is it that we want them to do? Paid search is converting about 12% there. Regular Google organic stuff about 16, 9% direct, 7% referral, and social 0, but social numbers are quite small there anyway. But this is how you can tell whether your website's working or not. If you haven't got goals set up in Google Analytics, then you can't answer the question. How would you know? So again, there's a final slide to show this, but you get to this report by going to acquisition, all traffic and channels once you're logged into Google Analytics. It's one of my favourites to go to and just get a snapshot of how we're going.
What was that acquisition, all traffic and what?
Channels. That'll be able to tell you where your traffic's coming from and what's working and what's not. This is a low number, so I wouldn't take too much into that, but if that number was statistically valid, if it was a bit higher, I'd look at that and go, well, Facebook's not working. So often when people set up goals, they're only focusing on the main goal. It's a bit like a marriage proposal on the first date, a visit to the website, buy this thing, fill in this inquiry form, do the main thing that I'm looking for on a first visit. Now, in some industries and for some websites and some sectors, that may well be an expectation, but for a lot it's not. So there's a big gap if you think about the user journey between when they've Googled something and got to your website and then making some kind of big commitment at the end, whether it's a purchase or a lead generation or inquiry or whatever the case may be. So there's got to be some steps in the middle, yeah? So if we think about our big goal, the main thing that we want people to do is certainly there and something we should be measuring. But there's a bunch of other smaller goals along the way that might not be exactly what we want, but can be a flag that, okay, they're a step closer now than they were. Like, I didn't get them this time, but they've taken a step closer towards, becoming a customer. So make sure in Google Analytics those guys are set up as well, because that can help bridge the gap between, nothing and everything to some little small conversions along the way. So back to this screen again. That's where this one can come in quite handy here, the goal value. So if I've set up an inquiry as a goal, and then maybe some other minor goals as well, I can look at them one at a time by clicking that link there and changing that drop down. But setting a value for your goals is really important as well. So I'm going to do a bit of mental maths here, so bear with me for a sec. So say, for example, that a new customer was worth $1,000 to you, and you knew that everybody who inquired, you turned about half of them into a customer. So it would mean that that inquiry would be worth $500. So that's the number we put into Google Analytics for that goal. When somebody fills an inquiry form, worth $500, assuming that you convert 50% of them into a customer, customer's worth $1,000. But along the way, they might do something else that's useful. They might sign up for an email newsletter. They could perform some other action that isn't quite what you want, but it's a step there. Signing up for an email newsletter, well, I might put $10 against that goal, or $50, or some other indication that we've made some progress, but we're not all the way there. And so by doing that, Google will then calculate for you the total value of all of those conversions to give you an indication of where you should be doing your marketing. Should you be doing it here? Should you be doing it there? What's working and what's not? You can answer a lot of questions about your website if you've established some goals and set them up in Google Analytics. Now, I'm not going to stop and do this now, but we will have time at the end. I'm pretty sure we're going to have time at the end if anybody wants to jump into a live Google Analytics account, and I can step you through that. We certainly can. Well, that sounds like I need to see a doctor for that. Does that sound all right? Yep. Yeah, so we'll come back to a live Google Analytics account at the end if anybody's interested in seeing that. So what can these minor goals be? One of my favourites that is often overlooked is running an email newsletter, getting people to sign up for an email newsletter. Is it extra work for you? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Better than social. Way better. Because if you think about it like this, somebody likes your Facebook page and then you start posting stuff, what chance are they of seeing that post? If you have a look at your stats in Facebook, organic reach is really bad. What are they at? 10%, 20% chance of seeing that post, something like that if you're lucky? Not real crash hot. However, if they sign up for an email newsletter, what are their chances of seeing that email you send them? Pretty high. Even if they delete it, pretty good chance they're going to see it. So the work there, the catch is you need to come up with something interesting to put in your email newsletter, but I'd argue, well, you're supposed to be coming up with something interesting to put on your social media pages anyway. And it's funny, the number of people who resist the idea of, I don't want to be running an email newsletter, but they're quite happy to ask people to follow them on social. Email will work for you much better than getting people to follow you on social media any day of the week. So that's a no-brainer one. If you are really active on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever else like that, feel free to count a click to those platforms as a minor goal. There could be other things. You might have some white paper downloads, some PDF downloads. You might have some other things, views of a really key page that you could set up as a goal, but my favourite's email. You know, get yourself set up for an email newsletter, get people to sign up. That's a really good signal that they're along the path. So we've dealt with some technical stuff. We've run through the role of the website. The user experience is probably the hardest one to get right because we're dealing with people and people are individuals. So what we were sort of talking about previously when setting up your goals and you know, making sure you put your website together so that you know what is working and what's not, what you're doing is focusing on this. When somebody comes to your website, they don't care about that. They want this. So if you're thinking about designing for the user experience and your user in mind, you need to think like them. You know, you need to kind of lower your IQ by 10 points and think like a customer. That wasn't being recorded, was it? But it's hard because you're in your bubble and you know your industry and you know your jargon and you just, you know, to get out of that and think like a customer who doesn't know your industry, who isn't familiar with your industry, they don't know your jargon, they don't know how things work, they don't know the normal flow of things. You've got to start thinking like that so you can deal with what they want and then move them over to what you want over the course of the visit to the website. So how do we think like a customer? How do we think like a user? Has anybody in the room developed any personas or avatars for their business? Yeah, I've got a few hands. Now, there's a lot of templates out there online to help you fill out a persona. I'll take a step back. A persona or an avatar is basically a fictitious person that's representative of a type of customer for you. So here's Fred. This is his background, this is what he cares about, this is why he's coming, this is what annoys him. Kind of get yourself into that headspace. It'll help you look at your website from the point of view of Fred. That's a bad name. He doesn't really look like a Fred, does he? Anyone got a better name?
James.
James?
Raoul.
Oh, I like that. Raoul. Okay, that's better. So yeah, when you look at, there's lots of online templates around developing a persona or an avatar that you can get in and fill out, and I find most of them are garbage because they want you to fill in things like their annual salary and their place of education and a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know who dreamed up that this was important, but like, how does that help? It doesn't help. So forget about all of those sorts of, you know, demographic numbers and those sorts of things. The value of developing a persona, and the main point is to help you think like your customer is. Knowing where he went to school doesn't really help most businesses. So it's more about what's he doing, why is he coming, what does he want, what can we do to annoy him, how do we make him happy? Think about those sorts of things when developing a persona. And I find that, you know, most businesses will tend to have 3 or 4 personas that probably cover off what they need. You know, 3 to 4 ideal kinds of customer. That's about the magic number. If you've got more than that, it becomes a bit hard to manage. So when you're figuring out what to put on your homepage and what that user experience is going to be like, pull out a picture of Raoul, pull out a picture of persona B, persona C, however many you've got, and then take another look at your homepage. Like, have I loaded this up with jargon? Have I put a bunch of stuff on there that I think is important that they don't care about? Get rid of it. So what we want, your homepage should really be about this. You know, if your homepage has got about us and our history and we started blah and we, blah, 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 don't. Start off with what they want and address their concerns first. And of course we know what their concerns are because you've written that down in your persona description. and then you can move them through the course of the website over to what you want over here. All right. Another thing you can do with your user experience is make it really hard for people to find anything. A common question that people come to me when they say, I want a website, and you ask them some questions, they say, I want it to be user-friendly. Sounds fair enough, right? But at no point have we identified who the users are, or their level of knowledge, or what they want. And so, we see a navigation menu like this, which is a Mad Dog's breakfast. And what somebody's done here is they've created a page and put it in the main menu. And they've created another page and put it in the main menu. And they've created another page and put it in the main menu. Oh, look, they've created another page and put that in the main menu as well. And this is just, if you present it with that, it's like, I don't know where to start looking. So the flip side to that is you can also go nuts with drop-downs as well. So you could probably put a bunch of this under a drop-down called services, which I would not encourage because services are sort of a bit generic and bland as well. And then you can have a drop-down that's like this long, and then there's some fly-out things out of that, and I'm still going, I don't know what to click. So go back to your personas. Okay, Raoul is coming because he wants blah. And if I was to categorise it, he'd probably put this under a category called blah, and that's my main menu item, and then the drop-downs under that. Think about it in terms of what they're going to call it, not what you call it. Because jargon is probably about the worst thing you can stick in a menu. One surefire way to confuse people. This is one of my pet hates as well. Creating a page and say it's coming soon, and putting it on your website and putting it in your menu. How's that helpful? There is no excuse for this. Like, if the page isn't done, don't publish it. Now, I looked at this one. It looks like a wall of text, but the point I was sort of making with this one is another common mistake is an assumed level of knowledge. And I have this argument with clients all the time. They'll give me some text for a page, and I'll be going, jargon. It's like, we need to simplify this. Oh, no, my clients will understand all that. Yeah, I bet you they don't. Again, I mentioned this before, we're wrapped up in our bubble, and we know our industry, and we know what we do, and it's a dangerous thing to assume our clients have the same level of knowledge that we do, because I promise you they don't. That's a bit like if you were one of my clients and I just assume that you know everything that I know. Like, that would be dumb, and yet I see that happen a lot. We think that everybody knows what we know because they're in a similar industry or they've bought from us before, whatever the case may be. Don't assume any kind of level of knowledge from your visitors to your website. Assume they don't know anything. Drop the jargon, simplify your language, because a surefire way to lose them is to assume they know a bunch of stuff they don't. Even if it's typical in your industry that your clients that you're dealing with do, you might be dealing with somebody new. Could be their first day on the job. So you really want to make sure that you simplify your language down. That's really important. The home page especially, but really most of the website, it's not for you. You need to think about this in terms of the visitor to your website. What do they want? I was so looking for an IT crowd meme here to go, it's not for you, Jen, but I couldn't find one, and probably most of you wouldn't understand that reference anyway, so it's probably just well I didn't. But it's, if you think about your home page especially, but then when you move into some product pages or some service pages, just remember that it's not for you, it's for them. Don't write it for you, write it for them. And if you're trying to understand who them is, then you need to make sure that you've identified who them is, which harks back to the personas I was talking about before. There's a really good video on YouTube, and there'll be a link posted here and I'll give it to you later. A 6-minute kind of step through of how to set up personas for yourself in a practical way that doesn't include a whole bunch of boring stuff that those templates tend to include. So again, I could head off to Bunnings and I can buy all the tools I need, but that doesn't make me a builder. So hopefully you don't end up building something like that, because that'd be about my skill set. Yeah, don't do that. Follow these tips and build something that's solid and that's going to help you advance your business. I've chucked these references up here. So there's some things that we went through earlier. If you're about to do some work on your site in Google Analytics, go to Audience, Mobile and Overview is how do you get to that menu. Look at the mobile to desktop split for your site. Rather than pulling an average or making assumptions, have a look at the traffic to your own website and adjust what you're doing accordingly. To get to that Chrome Inspector, was just right-click, click Inspect, and that will give you the mobile preview on your desktop. Again, I'd encourage you to use an actual phone, because there's no substitute for having to scroll through something and actually tap and fill a form and use your finger. There's no substitute for that in real life, but that'll get you out of the way as a pinch. Run your website through GT metrics and see what your score's like. First time you run your website through that, you'll probably fall off your chair. It'll be bad. Expect it. Expect it'll probably be bad. The simplest thing you can do is optimize those images. Re-upload them about 2,000 pixels wide after you've compressed them first. You'll bump that score up a fair bit straight up. Tiny PNG's that little compression website as well. Again, if you've got WordPress, install that plugin, does it for you. Google Analytics, so acquisition all traffic channels, that was that report we were looking at, which shows you how people got to your site and then your goal conversions off to the right-hand side. If somebody says, is the website working? That's the best place to go. Now, to set up goals, you go to Admin, View, and Goals, and we can have a look at that in a minute in real life if you like. And that's the YouTube link for setting up your personas if you haven't done any already. All right, question time, I think.
Any questions?
This might be sort of an older thing. Should you be designing all websites for Chrome and Chromium-based browsers? Do you still need to point towards Internet Explorer? Is that a thing?
It's not really an issue anymore. Yeah, like a long time ago, browsers would all behave quite differently, and you'd have to design, you'd have to test in Internet Explorer and then in Firefox and then in Chrome or whatever else was on at the time. That's not really an issue anymore.
Jason, what about having a video on your website, like in terms of size, slowing down?
If it's an autoplay video, I'd be really careful about doing that. If it's a video that you have to click to play, no problem. Because when the page loads, it's just kind of loading a still image. There's no additional download to happen there. Only when they click to play it, does the video then stream from YouTube wherever you want. So if it's a click to play video, no issue.
So like having a Vimeo link is better than actually uploading it to Wix, for example, and Wix loading it on there?
Generally speaking, yeah. Because if any video that sort of auto plays as part of the download is going to affect your download speed. It's going to hurt your download speed.
What about the actual size of the video that I put on Vimeo? I think the one I put on was 2.6K.
It doesn't matter. Hosting services like, we had this argument before, is it Vimeo or Vimeo?
I don't know.
It's one of those words that you see all the time, but no one ever says it. I don't know, whatever it is. So we'll say Vimeo. Vimeo, YouTube, services like that, they actually throttle the video to suit, so they'll detect how fast your connection is and give you the appropriate quality video for your internet connection. So in terms of uploading your video to YouTube or Vimeo, upload the highest quality one you've got and let them do the heavy lifting and detection in terms of what quality they then send to the end user. If you're on a really good connection, they'll give you a good quality one. If you're on a dodgy connection, they'll throttle things back a bit for you.
My Vimeo video actually plays on my homepage, doesn't go to a link.
Yeah, no, but it's just embedded because although it's embedded on your home page, so if you think about, you're here looking at the home page, it's Vimeo in the background actually pushing the data through, so it's still coming from Vimeo servers, not yours.
And it's their code on their website that determines the quality that the user will see based on the internet speed.
Yeah. In terms of the download speed for you, all it's loading is the still image with the play button on it, and that's nice and quick.
So let's say your website is designed for user input, for where users put in data to make a decision. What is the best format for that, and two, how does it affect page speeds?
Best format. Don't really understand the question there.
So let's say there's data that you enter in.
Yep.
Right? So say it's like building a persona. Right? Say someone's putting in the data.
Yep.
You can have forms, you can have tables, whatever you want, you can embed on your web page. Now, in terms of the page loading, what will process? Is it a table? Is it a data table? Or is it a form? And two, what is the user experience around some of them?
The load speed between a table and a form, if they're built, in HTML, not marginal, hardly anything. One thing I would discourage you from doing is putting a form in a PDF and throwing a PDF at them and expecting them to fill out the form on the PDF, because the main issue with that is that's not responsive. So your PDF's sort of an A4 page. You try and squeeze that onto a phone screen and fill in that form, you've got Buckley's. You've got to be really good to do that. But if you're just using a regular web form, that's all that's all pretty lightweight in terms of load speed. So there's no real issue there. If there's a table in there as well, because there needs to be, not really a big deal. The main thing you need to be conscious of there is pulling out your phone and filling in the form on your phone. Actually physically do it, don't sort of simulate it. Pull out your phone, run through it on your phone and identify where the bottlenecks are and where things get a little bit difficult and where something slides off the screen that shouldn't. And, does that answer the question?
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yep.
One question. Just wondering with how you don't put everything on your main menu, how deep do you think, how many levels down do you recommend is ideal or not to go surpass?
There isn't really a magic number for that, but the thing you want to keep in mind is if people feel like they've got the scent of where they want to go, like if they feel like they're making progress, then, there's no magic number to how deep you should go.
Yep.
As long as when they click something, they feel like they're getting closer to what they need to get to.
So
You know-
you'd analyse that from your analytics there, from your bounce rate and stuff?
Not so much bounce rate, because a bounce is a one-page visit. So if I visit, if I load a page and I hit the back button and go back to Google or Facebook, wherever it was from, that's a bounce. If I've tried to navigate a couple in and thought this is confusing, I don't know what I'm doing, it's all of a sudden not a bounce because I've looked at a couple of pages. But going too deep, that's the kind of thing that Google Analytics won't really help you with. What you need to do there is look at some user testing. So you grab some people who haven't seen the site before and say, hey, sit down in front of this computer for me for a minute, try and apply for a blah, try and find an answer to this question and watch them do it. And the really hard thing about that is you've got to shut up while they're doing it, because it can be a little bit demoralising and disheartening sometimes watching somebody at your creation that you've slaved over for ages and just completely not get it. You want to say, it's here, stupid, it's here, but you can't do that, of course. But in terms of optimising your depth and your navigation, that sort of thing, you really do need to get some strangers and say, hey, come and try and find this thing and find where they get lost. And then you'll know, okay, well, I didn't make that clear enough, or I haven't used the right term in this menu here, or, oh, that's interesting. They clicked this thinking that was going to go there. It's really the only way to do it.
And strangers who align with your avatars are ideal, right? So get strangers that you define, the people that you define that you're building the website for, get them to sit behind the website and have a go at using it, and then just watch them. And you will learn so much. Yeah, and control your own emotions. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing.
It's
Breathe.
almost need to get behind a glass panel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose if some of your child pages end up pointing to something that could be in one, tab A or tab C, then they can both point to that child page.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. Like as long as your users find what they need to find,
That's
and it makes sense to them how they get there. Because I mentioned this earlier, people are unpredictable and we're all a bit different and we all think a little bit different, so there is no one absolute way to get from here to there. So if you do a few different tests and a few people take a couple of different routes to get there.
I'm just thinking like tab A and tab C could be for Raoul and then for Karen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Potentially.
Like
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Set up your tabs for different
Yes.
client types.
Yep. Especially if you're serving a couple of different industries and you can have, for industry A and for industry B, and so if I sort of identify with that, this one's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just ask about template-based systems, sort of free ones like GoDaddy's or Weebly's? Besides upgrading those where you've got your own domain name and their brand is their own, do you see any big disadvantage of working with a template-based system like that?
Not so much anymore. No, a few years ago, those sorts of website builders were, I'll keep it clear, it's a family show, but pretty much any tool that you use these days, does anybody care whether I've used a Makita drill or a Ryobi drill, or nobody cares. Nobody cares. Does it make a hole? So the tools these days they're all pretty good, honestly. They all have their pros and cons, and I have personal biases, but that's because I've been doing it a long time. But whatever you grab, if you follow some of these principles, you'll end up with a website that's a long way towards doing what you need it to do.
This is really excellent. Thank you so much, Jason. A last question. We're all good? You've done a really, really good job. Mr. Jason Foss, Almost Anything is Jason's company. If you want to connect with Jason, feel free to reach out on social media. If you can't find him, reach out at the Smart Hub and we'll be more than happy to connect you to Jason Foss. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insight. This was a really, really, really good lunch and learn. This information will make a huge difference if followed in your website. Just do this. Just do this. So our...
Do what you're told.
Yes, just exactly. I hope that you have at least one thing that you've thought, I'm going to go and implement this one thing. Has everyone got one thing?
Is there a competition for how many you've got?
As long as they get done. I think that's the biggest thing.
There's a free can of Coke over there for the winner.
Get it done. So Jason, thank you so much for sharing your information with
thanks
us.
very much.
Really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming to the Smart Hub. Our June Lunch and Learn is all about exploring social enterprise. So the difference between social enterprise and other enterprise is basically that social enterprise, the purpose of social enterprise is not for the benefit of the founders. So it really is for social good. So if you have an idea in your mind, or if your business is aligned more with just doing really good in the world, then this is the right Lunch and Learn for you. The date is the 1st of June, not too far away, again at 12 to 1, and we have another really great presenter. You can find this marketing, this is the marketing for it, you'll find this on our Facebook page. This will also come out in our newsletter. I'm so pleased that we have a
Yes,
newsletter.
you do. Very good.
Yeah, and so I know that you're all on our database, so please open the newsletter, that'll come to your inbox, and then you'll find all the information right there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Jason, and we look forward to seeing you in a month's time.